So, Minister, there are just a couple of questions before we get into future aviation capabilities. Clearly, we saw the written ministerial statement made by the Secretary of State today. Positive on the day so that Vanguard and her crew have been certified as being fully capable, and that is a positive sign for the deterrent and maintaining our continuous at sea operations. But clearly there was this anomaly. If there's anything you wished to say at the start of the session on that, we'd be keen to hear it.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And so, as you know, my responsibilities include Chair of the Defence Nuclear Board, so we have oversight of the nuclear enterprise and obviously concerned to see the headlines and to want to be able to reassure people about, exactly as you said, the fact that there's actually some very positive developments. I think one reflection is that I was also on board the submarine with Secretary of State, and what we witnessed was a Royal Naval crew performing to the very highest standard in a very challenging situation. And I think it's massively to their credit. As you say, the submarine has been recertified. This is incredibly significant. It means she rejoins the normal CASD patrol life cycle. I think that's very important. Of course, there was this anomaly, but as we've stressed, there was an event-specific factor, which means we can nevertheless remain confident in our deterrent.
And the suggestion has been, I don't want to get to stray into areas that because you're uncomfortable, the suggestion is that this is event-specific, it would be unrelated to the performance in the worst-case scenario of actually being used in anger.
That's correct. So, as we've stressed, there was this anomaly, but we are confident, very confident, in the strategic stockpile of missiles that we would fire in anger. Obviously, we hope that day should never come, but people should be reassured that we are extremely confident in the efficacy of the missiles and in the wider deterrent.
Is there any colleagues who wish to? Mr. Francois.
Thank you. Minister, on this committee we only talk about the deterrent in public very carefully for obvious reasons. But there will be great public interest in this. This morning, Chris Parry, who's a retired Royal Naval Admiral, tweeted this. This is the essence of what he said. The missile operated correctly. There was a test procedural error that meant a command abort had to happen for safety reasons. In other words, the missile did not flop into the sea. It was deliberately destroyed because of an anomaly with the test. You confirm that that is correct?
No, I mean, that is entirely speculative. I wouldn't want to be drawn into that. I mean, you're quite right. We will always seek to minimise our comment on operational matters. We've had this story overnight, and we recognise that given, as you said, and entirely fairly, the public interest, that we should therefore respond with this written ministerial statement, which we hope provides reassurance. But all we are prepared to say is that there was this event-specific anomaly relating to the test firing, which means we are nevertheless confident that were it the case that we had to fire a strategic missile in anger, we would not have to deal with that issue. So we are very confident in the deterrent, but understand, as you rightly say, Mr. Francois, there will be concerns, particularly among the sort of personnel you're talking about, former forces personnel.
But lastly, the fault was not with the missile itself.
I'm not going to comment specifically, other than to say what is definitive is that the submarine was certified. For that to happen, it has to have, the crew in the submarine have to have performed all of their requirements for the test entirely satisfactorily. And as I said, and I witnessed it at first hand, that crew performed an exemplary degree, to an exemplary degree, and this was commented upon by very senior US naval personnel who are present, because I do think it's important to stress to those who crew our ballistic submarines who will be hearing about this, they need to understand that the government is 100% confident in the deterrent, that it recognises the extraordinary professionalism of the crews required to deliver these duties. There was this anomaly. All we are prepared to say is that there was this event-specific aspect to it,
well, then
which means, let me finish, Mark, which means we can be confident in our strategic stockpile.
Good. So there was an unsuccessful test in 2016. There was an unsuccessful test now. Isn't the best way to absolutely underline and reinforce confidence in our very expensive deterrent to perform successfully a third test as soon as possible?
I appreciate why you use the word unsuccessful. I do think, this is why I'm keen to stress this, that in terms of the submarine and the crew, it has been certified after a very long period, as you know, of deep maintenance, which means that submarine goes back into the line, as it were, and rejoins the CASD flotilla. That is incredibly important. But in terms of what happened, that is classified beyond saying, which I'm happy to, that there was an event-specific occurrence which caused this anomaly. I would also say that, as you may be aware, there's been something like 190 of these tests, a tiny number where there have been some form of anomaly. Again, I hope that gives more confidence, but completely separate to that statistical point, completely separate to it, because of the nature of this event-specific occurrence, we are completely confident in the deterrent and that it remains effective and indeed formidable.
So we'll leave it there, and thank you, Mark. Your message is complete confidence in the submarine, complete confidence in the crew, complete confidence in the stockpile, and this certification means that the CASD fleet is actually strengthened with the vessel being able to go back out to...
Completely correct.